Hi, everybody. I'm Scott.
And I'm Luke.
And I'm Jonathan.
And this is the No Way to Hollywood podcast. Thanks for joining us.
This is indeed the No Way to Hollywood podcast. Thank you for joining.
We have the best intros of all time. That's what I've been realizing.
That's what you come here for.
Every time that you run out of material, Luke, I always run out of material because I'm not thinking of something to do right after him. And so when you can't find anything, I'm always reacting to you. And you're like, it's the same thing I always do. And I'm like, dang it. What do I do? So now I'm just pointing it out and trying to...
Now you have a little more insight into the process by which we make this remarkable content.
I wonder if I spent some time thinking about what I was going to say before the moment came, what would happen?
Think before you speak? That doesn't work on the internet.
No, definitely speak and then think. On that note, we are going to start speaking about some movies tonight.
Shocking.
Awe-inspiring.
Well, I hope you're awe-inspired as we continue down our list of AFI's top 100. Tonight we are starting at number 40, gentlemen, with The Sound of Music.
The hills are alive.
With the sound of music.
These are a few of my favorite things. Okay, there are so many iconic things about this movie.
I need to watch it again. I watched it once when I was a little kid.
Okay.
I can't barely remember.
There are a lot of really good iconic things that have become part of pop culture because of this movie. And it's good. It's long. It's got a lot of stuff. They World War II. You've got are you fighting for Germany or are you fighting you've got all sorts of stuff going on in this movie while also following just this person who's got kind of a Mary Poppins vibe to her as she kind of works with the family and goes through the ups and downs of everything there. You've got kids who are trying to come into themselves. You've got people who are growing. There is a lot going on in this film, and it's really strong and it's really good, and they're singing.
There's a lot of good singing, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of good make you think moments in the movie as well, which I appreciate. So I think it's the female love interest in the story is a nun, and so there's that whole element of, is she more devoted to her faith or should she pursue love, and what should that look like? And I think it raises a lot of interesting conversations on what is love and what is commitment.
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me.
Now that is the greatest song ever written.
And
Or
to
not.
quote Nacho Libre, have you ever had feelings for a nun?
One of the other interesting experiences I've had in my life related to this movie is I actually, when I was in high school, got a chance to visit Salzburg, Austria, where they filmed this movie, and got to see.
I imagine it's a really beautiful place.
It is stunningly gorgeous and a lot of fun. One of the interesting, fun things that they do in the movie, though, is towards the end, they're climbing this mountain and crossing over a border, theoretically going into Switzerland. In actuality, where Salzburg is located, it does get close to the border with Switzerland and also Germany. And so the scene when they're actually crossing the border, they're actually crossing the border into Germany, of all places.
That is ironic.
Quite ironic. But yeah, this is a fun movie. This is actually a movie I do own and I've watched more than once. So there's a lot that I do appreciate about it, and I might be the one person in this group that actually enjoys musicals more or less. Guys, you want to argue with me on this?
I'm trying to grow into some musicals, but some musicals I just don't see how it's ever going to be something I enjoy.
Well, and this movie at least has the added benefit of one of the major plot points is that they are, as a family, a troupe of singers. So the fact that they sing is somewhat, meaningful, not all the time, but there's some reason for it, right? And, I think that there are more and more musicals that have tried to do that where they're like, hey, we're singing for a reason, not just because we were overcome or whatever.
And this is a movie that I would be willing to watch. The hard part for me will be getting to the acquiring and then pressing play. Even if it was on Netflix, which probably is right now, but if it's right there in front of me deciding to press play for, 3 hours?
Yeah, give or take.
It's long.
That's the hardest part, probably. If I get in in the first 20 minutes, they'll probably hook me, and I'll probably enjoy it and see the value in it more than I even understand to have value now. But it's that first threshold of like, do I want to spend 3 hours on a musical? Even in one as well known as The Sound of Music? You know?
So maybe it's not one you watch by yourself.
You're right. Someone could force me to watch it.
Luke, are you going to force him to watch it?
We haven't gotten to Rear Window yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
How many times as we're going down this list can we actually mention Rear Window?
Rear Window.
Rear window.
Rear Window.
The window in the rear.
Coming in at number 39 is Dr. Strangelove.
Or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Yeah, okay. So,
That's the one.
So this movie, for whatever reason, we'd heard about it, a friend of mine and I, and we like read the back of the DVD case, and it was like, this hilarious movie includes such brilliant things as a character whose name is King Kong, and if that comedy isn't enough for you, then the movie is hilarious. There's just a hilarious, so funny. And we're like, wow, this movie's this funny? Like, this is amazing. So we pushed play, and we sat through the movie, and we didn't laugh at, like, we didn't even snicker. Like, there was nothing about this movie that was funny. And this is, once again, a film that works if you are part of that generation going through that particular thing, and you're like, oh my goodness, I get it, because I understand what that was. And for me, I did not. This movie was like, whatever. I do not, whatever. I mean, granted, I've seen, like, clips, and people have argued about why that's funny and whatever, but, like, no.
I'm starting to wonder if this list is more about the cultural relevance of a film to its particular time.
You said that last time. I think you've even said it before, because I think you're probably right. And
I think we finally figured out what AFI's 100 list is
AFI's
actually all about.
qualifying by cultural relevance at the time.
having started Dr. Strangelove, hoping for it to be funny, I don't even think I got to the moment it has Dr. Strangelove in it. I don't think I ever got there. I watched a lot of that movie, and I just didn't get it. And you know, they're trying to do funny things. I don't know. I'm sorry. It is over my head. It is beyond me. It was not funny for me. Maybe if there might be, like, I imagine that Strangelove character might be funny for me, but I never got there. I couldn't get there. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try again.
And even when he gets there, and yes, he does some silly antic-y type things, and it's
That's
you
my
know,
jam.
Like there are also some funny lines and stuff, like theoretically
Funny lines
but
are funny.
But like so many things in film, when you try to be funny, but your whole film isn't funny, then even something that might potentially be funny isn't funny.
Dang, you dropped them truth bombs.
Comedy is difficult, and so often, and we've talked about this before, where it's funny outside the context of the film. It's not even funny in the context of the film. And this movie just was not funny. It was plain not funny for me. Now, again, I have heard that if you grew up during the like massive fear of like the A-bomb and like all that stuff, like this movie is hilarious because it like encapsulates everything about what people were thinking at the time. I wasn't. So it's not.
Okay, coming in at number 38 is The Treasure of Sierra Madre.
I've heard of it.
I have also heard of this film.
Why
As in,
do
I think
know
I've heard the title.
It is a 1948 American Western adventure drama film written and directed by John Huston. It is an adaptation of B. Tavern's 1927 novel of the same name, set in the 1920s, in which, driven by their desperate economic plight, two young men, played by Humphrey Bogart and Tim Holt, join old-timer Howard, the director's father, in Mexico to prospect for gold.
Like what? I don't care. Okay.
That was a good snore, Luke.
Thanks. I don't know if my mic picked it up because I had it in my lap. Sorry, everyone.
I mean, my mic was right here. We might have had a shot. Top quality snoring. That's why you've come to see our podcast.
I do what I can, friends.
The closest I've gotten to seeing this movie is pretty far away.
You know how like Canada's up there? The closest I've gotten there is like I was once in Mexico.
I went and saw a live commentary with the director Ryan Johnson in the theater for the movie Looper back in the day.
No, that's a movie.
And the week, I don't know if it was the week or day or two before, but I think it might have been a week or day or two before, he actually did he did an introduction commentary kind of thing for The Treasure of Sierra Madre. And my friend went and saw that one and said it was actually a very good movie and that it was very interesting. And the reason that movie was chosen was it had some similar themes, apparently, from that Ryan Johnson was inspired by or had some similarities to his film Looper.
I felt like we were playing like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon right there, where it's like, so this movie, but I was going to that movie, but that person was directed who also commented on this, but my friend saw that, and so therefore, because... Wow.
Ryan Johnson thinks The Treasure of Sierra Madre is a pretty good movie. That's all. I mean,
And you like every other one of his films, so you might want to see one that he actually liked.
When we talk about every other one, we mean other than...
The Last Jedi, because he doesn't like The Last Jedi. I'm not. Well, I mean, are you like me where you like you half love it, half hate it?
I don't know if I ever loved it, but like none of the sequels really got me.
It's because they suck and they weren't planned, and there's all these problems with them.
So let's talk about films that had better planning. Coming in at number 37, The Best Years of Our Lives.
What a plan for that movie.
A.K.A. Glory for Me and Home Again. Is a 1946 American drama film directed by William Wyler and starring a lot of people. This film is about 3 United States servicemen readjusting to civilian life after coming home from World War II.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a piece that kind of gives you that, like, hey, war has impacts on people's lives, and coming back and reassimilating is really difficult. The scene that I remember the most is there is a guy who is he's lost. I don't remember if it's all 4 of his limbs or just his 2 arms. I don't remember. But there's this moment where like there's this girl that he loved. Like they were totally a thing. They were smitten before he left. And he goes away to war, and he comes back, and he's lost his arms, and I don't remember if he lost his legs or whatever too, right? And so now it's like, how can we rekindle this relationship and friendship that we had? And so there's this moment where he's kind of like, well, I'm gonna go to bed. You want to come, kind of help me, get there, and so he like sits down on the bed, and she helps him take off his prosthetic, kind of arms thing, and he's like, there, now I'm helpless. I can't do anything if somebody doesn't come and help me now. And kind of this like, so is this what you want to get into with me going forward, right? Like this is what it's going to be. I am literally useless once my prosthetic arms are off. And that scene has stuck with me. So I'm guessing that there's other stuff like it in the movie, but that's the one that I remember from that. And like that's good stuff.
So this seems like one of those movies that, I mean, definitely some cultural impact for the time that it was released, but still actually had some impact as you were watching it, Luke.
Right. Yes.
Interesting. Maybe this one actually is a good movie.
Wow.
Coming in at number 36 is Bridge on the River Kwai.
I have seen this film.
Me too.
Have not, for the record, seen this film.
So what I've heard is that this movie, it's less accurate than the 2000s film where about the Japanese internment camps and all that stuff. What was that film? Oh man, now I'm
new one. Which one? Sorry, I was
2000s ish when it has a Japanese internment camp, like whatever, with like the American soldiers in it, and they're like vicious beatings the whole time. They crucify a guy in the film. It was awful. Like the movie was really good. Like it was awful. The stuff.
I mean, the last Japanese prison camp thing I remember was Unbroken, which is long.
No.
More
it was
recent than that.
Way before that. It was back when I was in film school. Yeah, that movie is brutal. If I can remember the name of it, I'll link to it or something. But and apparently that movie is more accurate as to what was going on, because this one's kind of more like, it sounds like it's a little bit more revisionist history kind of thing. Like, hey, we were able to blow up the bridge, and we were able to do the thing, and it helped the stuff. But like, there's some good tension, of like, can we blow up the bridge that we were building? Can we, like, do the things, So yeah, yeah.
I remember it being a well done movie, and the acting's good, and there's just some like it's interesting, just the whole setup, right? Just the whole idea of prisoners of war and that confrontation, but then sort of weirdly having a purpose in life because you're able to build this bridge, and then sort of having to go back to what's your duty, what are you really about, what are you going to decide to do when push comes to shove. So there's some good stuff in there for sure.
I have nothing to say about it. And these guys have not necessarily made me more interested in it because I feel like there's probably better.
There's whistling in the movie. I can't do it.
All right, coming in at number 35 is Annie Hall.
I think I thought about pushing play. I have heard that like you got to see these Woody Allen flicks and stuff, and I'm just like, whatever.
I saw one of his, Hannah and Her Sister or something. I think I saw. How many other Woody Allens have I seen? I've seen, like, more recently, The Midnight in Paris. But as far as the old school Woody Allens, I don't think I ever saw Annie Hall.
I mean, this does bring up Woody Allen. What do you guys?
It's true, it does.
What do you guys have any thoughts, preferences for or against Woody Allen?
Well, I've never seen any of his films as far as I know. I did once read an interesting article from someone who was like, how do you deal with art made by monsters? Because ultimately, not that the article went here, but we're all monsters. So like, where are you going to draw the line here? And the person who wrote the article said something along the lines of, I can enjoy someone's art while still also loathing the things that they stand for and the things that they do. And I'm like, that's kind of true with how we are with stuff. And so I felt like her point was okay, but like, cancel culture or whatever we're calling it nowadays or whatever, it's just interesting trying to navigate all of this when I guess for me, I'm like, people are broken. We're all broken. And if you think that like I'm less broken than you, then you don't know me very well. And so like this whole like it's almost this like holier than thou thing of like, well, that person did this thing and I really dislike that and despise it, so therefore I'm gonna try and like erase them or something, which is like so bad from a historical perspective. Like I have so many problems with all of that. So I honestly don't know anything about Woody Allen because I haven't watched his movies. I haven't but like I know there's controversy and stuff. I don't know. People, we're broken.
Speaking of Woody Allen's films, I've seen maybe a couple of them, and I haven't seen a lot of the, Annie Hall, or was it Manhattan, I think is another one. There's a weird he's done a lot of films over the years. I've missed most of them. Woody Allen has not typically been my cup of tea or really hit my funny bone. Midnight in Paris for me actually was, I really enjoyed it because it had this theme of you're always nostalgic. You're always looking for something behind you. And if you got there, the best part of the movie is, and those people are nostalgic too. And then if they got back to that place, those people would be nostalgic too. And it keeps on going back to this idea of being nostalgic for your heroes or the things that came before you instead of living your life and being where you are and enjoying what it is. And I appreciated that insight or thought process that came out of Midnight in Paris, which he's not in, he directs. Hannah and Her Sisters, I believe, is a Woody Allen film, and I think it had its moments, but Woody Allen's just never been. I've had a taste of Woody Allen's stuff, and it's not enough to make me need to go back. Excuse me.
I mean, I think that last statement by you kind of wraps it up for me with Woody Allen as well. Appreciate him as a filmmaker, but not someone that I'm rushing out to see any of his films. Coming in at number 34 is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
An animated movie.
Yes, the animated musical fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Productions.
Again, since this list is about how it was impactful at the time, like, yes, it was. There's some good animation. There's some interesting stuff. I mean, like, clearly the craft is there. There's some craft there. It's also early, so like it's not what we do today, but that's fine. Like there is some good stuff there. From a story standpoint, I don't know.
There's that part where she gets all the animals to help her clean the place.
And that's fun. Like
There's that part where she eats a poison apple. She doesn't.
Yeah,
know
I know.
But you
that
know it's a
part.
poison apple, so you're like, don't do it. But she
Right.
does it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh
and
no.
like the witch is like, and what's cool is like they animate so like when the witch pulls it out, the poison dripping off of it makes a skull. Like there's some good stuff.
But
There's
like
some good stuff.
Like, and the thing is, you saying that reminded me of the like I can see it in my head. Of,
I know,
like the
isn't it?
green of the
Yeah, it's
apple,
so great.
like or the red apple with the green
Right.
coloring off
Yep.
of it, and all the There's some iconic stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
The lightning and the dwarves going to try to deal with her, and then isn't it a boulder or something, or lightning hit? I don't know. Some sort of nature thing kills her, not the dwarves themselves, if I recall. Of course, there's the Hi Ho song. Them getting the jewels. There's lots of
Hi-ho.
there's lots of iconic stuff in there.
Yeah. I think one of the things that surprised me as I just looked up this film was the fact that it was made in like 1937. Like this is an old movie.
And that's one of the things, right? You might, if you don't know better, you might be like, oh, it's like a 50s animation movie. And it's like, no, Walt Disney and his team were ahead of their time.
Right.
They were really good.
I mean,
Really good.
The only thing that really gives it away is the audio quality.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
the audio quality really gives it away, but like the animation is really really good. Yeah,
And if you think about, wait, was it 1930 what?
7?
I mean, that's pretty fast after talkies became a thing. So that's a medium where you got around a lot of the issues that tech were like what you were dealing with in the filmmaking at that time, because you didn't have to worry about your camera and your audio equipment working together. You just animated and then recorded whatever sound you wanted to separately. You didn't have to worry about how big the microphones were, how to move the microphones. I mean, a lot of people say that worried that and still think that cinematography got hit really hard because you had to sort of lock the camera down and put it in a box because it was so loud the microphones would pick it up. So, you didn't have that issue with animation. You drew whatever you wanted to draw, and you did whatever you want to do audio-wise. So that's part of also why it's probably one of the better films at that time for a combination of those two things.
I mean, I still remember enjoying it, even the experience of watching it on, like VHS back in the day as a kid. And there's definitely some scary moments, and it's a movie that
the trees reaching out and getting her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, but there's a lot of like kids movies that did stuff like that at
Yeah.
that time.
Well, it's good. It's there's something. I do think there is something about having scary stuff in kids' movies and allowing it to be scary and allowing like bad to be bad and evil to be evil and for it to be out there, and they're still tame enough. But there's something good about that. Fairy tales are not. Fairy tales are not rated G. They're full of really crazy, harsh stuff. It's just that you're telling a story as opposed to seeing the story, so it's not as disturbing. And anyway, but yeah, I mean, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? Like, there's all sorts of iconic stuff. I mean, but would I want to watch it tomorrow? Just because it's been years and years, maybe, but I don't even know how long I'd last. I tried watching Sleeping Beauty the other day, and that was actually really, really good animation and such, but it didn't. There are these little tricks and these little story things where it's light enough that it worked at the time, but it's now a little more style over substance in the modern viewing, I think so.
Okay. All right, moving on. Coming in at number 33 is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's a good movie. Yeah, that horrible nurse and Jack Nicholson going toe to toe until it ends poorly, and then it inspires you, and it's done.
Yeah, I saw it in film school. I've seen it once. I should probably watch it again. Oh no, I watched it in high school. Never mind. Don't even know which class that was for. So I watched it, and it was interesting. There's some good stuff. I think I'd have to watch it again because now I know that there's a lot more imagery and stuff. Whereas I think I was just trying to like figure out what I was watching when I watched it the first time. I think that there's a lot more from a filmmaking standpoint, especially now today, that I would be able to go and appreciate more. I think I was just like, I'm not exactly sure where we're going right now with all of this. And the guy like rips the stove.
No, isn't it like a drinking fountain?
Is it
Or
drinking fountain?
Sink or a drinking fountain, something like that.
Something big. Not quite. It's not quite as epic as Boondock Saints, but but yeah, and then just escapes and goes out. Like there's stuff. So yeah, I'd have to watch it again. I've only seen it once, and it's clearly a good one. But I don't know if I would put it ahead of something, like other things that
Jaws.
Yeah, right.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Rear Window.
I definitely did not have a great time watching it because it's not a great time movie, right? Like it's not like, oh, I'm having so much fun here, right? So like, it kind of, I feel from memory, it feels more like Shawshank Redemption, but I like Shawshank Redemption more, I think. So, like
interesting comparison, yeah.
All right. Coming in at number 32 is The Godfather Part 2.
Haven't seen it. I saw Godfather. I've seen Godfather twice. The second time I watched it, I was like, yeah, I didn't need to watch it again because I remembered all these shots. Yeah, I haven't gone on to see the other ones.
I'll just admit, The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 are always widely hailed as some of the best movies of all time. And I don't generally find The Godfather or The Godfather Part 2 something I generally want to watch myself. I think I can respect its filmmaking. They're both long movies. They're character-centric. Godfather Part 2, of course, the big thing about that is how it tells the two different stories and interweaves them so that you see the commonalities between what the Godfather Senior did and what the Godfather Junior is now doing, and how those stories are comparing and contrasting what those commonalities are, and what the differences are. And of course, you've got stuff like Fredo. I knew it was you. There's these big moments in those films, but
yeah, I'm curious to see if you guys say the same thing when The Godfather pops up on this list later.
Yeah, maybe not exactly the same thing. I'll probably be like,
how Godfather Part 2. Oh wait, you're talking about Godfather. Oh, okay.
I'll be like,
Part 2.
Remember how I talked about Godfather Part 2, and I was like, I'm not the biggest fan of these movies. There you go.
I mean, I still think there's a place in my heart for The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. The Godfather Part 2 definitely has some interesting storytelling in that you are getting two stories from two different times, kind of woven in between. And I think even early on this podcast, I even had that, recommendation of trying to catch the sequential edited version of The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. It's a good movie. Like, it is a good movie. It is very much, in my opinion, probably the quintessential mob movie of all time. So seeing a lot of the background for the kid part of the movie, and kind of seeing where it leads to later in life is pretty interesting. So enjoyable, non-linear storytelling for this movie. So I appreciate it. And capping off tonight's list, coming in at number 31 is going to be The Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
I need to see it. I haven't seen it. I've seen Minority Report, which Steven Spielberg said was his attempt at making odes to The Maltese Falcon and other things.
But now I'm having a hard time separating it from other movies that I've seen. So I don't know if I can talk intelligently about it. MacGuffin is a thing. Because
is it a MacGuffin or is it a plot coupon?
That's a good question. I would have to watch the movie again and probably revisit that video essay, and then I might be able to tell you. Which, by the way, that is a great video essay on what is a MacGuffin and is there a better title for it. Link below.
Yeah, it says Humphrey Bogart in it, so he's appeared several times on this list at this point. And will continue to appear.
I believe it. but I haven't seen all of his movies. I really am missing quite a few of those classics. I need to get some of those under my belt.
Alrighty, gentlemen. Well, that concludes our list for tonight. Let's go over them again, and let's pick out ones to recommend. Number 40 was The Sound of Music. 39 was Dr. Strangelove. 38 was The Treasure of Sierra Madre. 37 is The Best Years of Our Lives. 36 was The Bridge on the River Kwai. 35 was Annie Hall. 34 is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. 33 is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. 32 is The Godfather Part 2. And 31 was The Maltese Falcon.
I'll go with Sound of Music for 500.
And your reason behind that one, Luke?
I know it's a solid movie. Best Years of Our Lives, if I'm remembering it correctly, has a scene that really, really got me. I don't remember if like the rest of I don't know how that. So I can't be like, yeah, let me recommend that one. So Sound of Music is actually memorable for me in a longer, like full movie kind of experience for me.
Okay.
So that's why I'm choosing that one.
Interestingly enough, I'm torn between One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Godfather Part 2. Like, if I had to go back and watch one of these movies right now, and that I know of, like if I did, movies I haven't seen, I'm going to go watch The Maltese Falcon just so I know what that is. But out of movies I have seen and have exposure to, between the two, I mean, it's one of those two that I would go back and revisit. I think that, if for no other reason than it stands alone, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest might be the one to do, because Godfather Part 2 is Part 2. So you need to be in on the Godfather to get anything else out of that movie. So One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, since you're leaving out the Godfather Part 2, I kind of want to recommend that, but I do think Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is what I will recommend for tonight. It's another one of those films that is just so groundbreaking from a technical standpoint, and still has a fun, lighthearted. I mean, there's definitely some dark moments in it, but ultimately good triumphs over evil, and that's a good story that we can tell our kids. So, thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll catch you again next time.
And how do we solve a problem like Maria?
That's a good question, Luke. I don't know the answer to that.
Hi ho, hi ho. It's off this podcast we go. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. Bye.